All right, let's dive into a story about a single critical decision, one that was made when the entire world just came to a grinding halt. It's a story about leadership that was really forged in a moment of pure, unfiltered crisis. So, in early 2020, this one number, right here, represented an existential threat for one of the world's biggest travel companies. I mean, a 90% drop in business, that's not a dip, it's a complete disappearance. And it happened so fast. In just 8 weeks, Airbnb watched nearly $1 billion in business just poof, evaporate as the pandemic shut down the globe. So what do you do? What do you do when the very foundation of your industry vanishes overnight? Yeah, this wasn't just a downturn. For the travel industry, it honestly felt like the end. The rulebook was gone. The map was totally useless. And you can just imagine the panic. In the middle of all of it, CEO Brian Chesky faced this immense pressure. The message he was getting from every direction was pretty clear. Slash costs, lay people off, and just try to survive. The conventional wisdom was basically to curl up in a ball and wait for the storm to pass. And this is where we get to that critical choice every leader faces in a crisis. Do you play defense and just try not to lose? Or do you find a way, somehow, to play offense? You know, this is the kind of question that just cuts through all the noise. It forces a leader to figure out what truly matters for the future, not just what seems necessary right now. What is the one thing you absolutely must protect if you're ever going to build again? And this is where you see this stark contrast in thinking. On one hand, you had the conventional wisdom, the quote-unquote safe path. Cut everything and wait. But Chesky? He chose a totally different path. Instead of just protecting assets, he decided to build trust. Instead of waiting for certainty, he chose to act on uncertainty. And this reaction, it just shows you how radical his decision felt at the time. I mean, this wasn't just pressure from the outside. His own team thought the plan was reckless. It was a really lonely, counterintuitive choice. So, what exactly was this bet that seemed so crazy to everyone? Well, while everyone else was focused on just surviving today, Chesky was already thinking about the problem of tomorrow. He realized that when travel did come back, the single most important currency wasn't going to be price or location. It was going to be trust. So while scientists were still debating how the virus spread, he invested in creating comprehensive cleaning and safety standards. He was essentially defining what safe travel would look like before anyone else even could. Okay, so how did this really counterintuitive investment pay off? Well, it didn't just help Airbnb survive. It completely changed the game for its recovery. And wow, did that gamble pay off? By acting first, Airbnb's health protocols became their key competitive advantage. They earned travelers' trust while hotels and other platforms were still trying to figure out their response, which let them capture demand so much faster. By focusing on that future problem, the problem of trust, they literally accelerated their return from the brink. They didn't just wait for the future. They built the conditions for their own recovery. So when you step back and look at all this, what does this story really teach us about leading through extreme uncertainty? Because this is a lesson that goes way beyond just the travel industry. It shows us that leadership isn't about having all the answers or waiting around for a perfect map. It's about asking the right questions, like what will people need next, and then acting decisively on those answers, even when the path is anything but clear. And that's what it all comes down to, right? A crisis forces every leader to answer this one fundamental question. Do you just manage the present, or do you have the courage to build the future, even when, and especially when, no one else can see it yet?